Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Catherine Cantey. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting and Life Unscripted. I'm so grateful to have you here tonight for our Life After COVID series. We're going to talk about a lot of business. And here's the thing. A lot of businesses have just gotten started out of necessity. They were working in corporate America, just like you and I were. And because of circumstances and maybe not having a job right now, a lot of people are launching their own business. So we're going to talk about how to get a business up and running from idea to launching and getting out the door. And you recently started your business, so you're going to be able to be an expert in that arena. Share with our audience just a little bit about your backstory and how you came to creating your business.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here. And so if I had to kind of tighten it up, for the past 20 years, I've traveled the country helping other people grow their business. And I did that through the industry of banking. And so everybody tends to need money, and there's a lot of opportunity to meet talented people. Yeah. And it was a great opportunity that I got to meet people, develop products, listen to what the client needs are, and be able to create something that was profitable for the bank, but also beneficial for the customer. And it was a great experience. I'm grateful for it, but I'm also very grateful to be out on my own now.
Now, what was the aha moment that launched you straight into doing it on your own? Was there something specific that happened, or?
I wish there was something just like one great aha. But it was just that feeling that I guess you get in your core that you want to keep doing more and you want to give back in a new way. Mm-hmm. And I'd climbed the corporate ladder, and it was a lot of fun. I had a great opportunity after another, but I still felt like there was more to give. And if there's a way for me to give back what I've learned along the way, I've had countless mentors and sponsors that have helped me get to where I am. And I always said, if there's a way for me to give back, I would do that. And it's a bit of a long story, but it got me into leadership coaching, and this is a great way to be able to give back.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your story is not like unlike a lot of guests we've had on, that sometimes it's been a crisis moment, like that aha moment or crisis, kids going off to college, I get a horrible disease, God forbid. But sometimes it's just that, hey, I've done all I can do in corporate America. There's more of me to give. Well, let me just go out there and do it. And now you've built up this array of experience and wisdom. So let's get started with, okay, you have this wisdom. You've been growing it all these years in corporate. How do you get started from your idea to bringing it out into reality and to the marketplace?
So before I left corporate, it probably took me about 2 years to navigate these waters and to figure out what exactly it was. I didn't know how to refine what that message was or what that skill was going to be. Mm-hmm. I've taken all the tests, the personality tests. They tell you what you're good at. Strength Finder says I'm a maximizer and a connector. And, I'm thinking, okay, well, how do you turn that into something that allows me to leave corporate and still be able to continue to work and help others? And so the first thing I did was hire a coach who was working with me on the side. So as I'm traveling 60% of my time around the country and sitting in boardrooms and going to see customers, I'm also making time to schedule time to work with a coach. And she made me promise that I would sit with her through at least 7 sessions. And she said it's going to get really bad before it gets better. Because you've got to work through the junk before you can really get to the clarity. And sometimes people just don't have the patience. And I'm not saying I have great patience, but she held me accountable and helped me figure out, okay, what are you good at? What do you have interest in? Quit trying to solve this huge puzzle. Let's just be in the now. And corporate America taught me minimal viable product. And how do we put a new product in the market that's an MVP, a minimal viable product? Let's not spend a bunch of money. Let's just see what we can do and get scrappy. And we were successful doing that. And so I thought, all right, well, let's take a minimal viable product. What do I need to do working with you as a coach? And so read some books, and I've always used Marshall Goldsmith's coaching and books for my own career. And I learned there was actually an opportunity to go work with him in New York, and I applied to do that. And I was selected 1 out of 50 people to go fly to New York and spend time with him and be able to learn from him directly. And so the 50 of us got to spend time with Marshall. And I really loved the one-on-one. I loved the people he was with. It just felt like a natural fit. And from there, it grew. My curiosity kind of took me down to actually getting certified with his work. And one thing after another led into, okay, as I work with my coach, what do I do next? Well, you need to go get a website. And so I figured out how to create a website. And having a sales and marketing background, you tell people how to do this, in work. So now I'm actually having to do it. And I said, okay, now what? She's like, well, you need headshots. So I ran out at lunch and got headshots real quick. And
now, can I tell you, when being now your own boss and an entrepreneur, was it different? Because you said you would tell your clients, okay, you have to do this and you have to do that. But now you have to do it. Was it different transversing from, okay, now it's me that has to do it? Because one thing I've heard from people is, hey, I did sales in my business, maybe wherever I worked as an employee. But then all of a sudden I have to do it for myself. And it was so much harder. Did you have that experience?
Yes, it is hard. Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to sell yourself. It's easy to go sell a product or a service that somebody else owns.
Yeah.
There's a certain comfort and security in that. And then when you take the Band-Aid off and it is you and you are your authentic self, and this is what you got, and these are my services, it can be raw to go out there and be able to share that. So it's tricky when you need to learn how to sell yourself and your services.
Yeah. Well, thank God. And you did something very important, which we've talked about being essential when starting a business. And that is, for me, when I got started, I was doing what I did in corporate, but I didn't super love it. And then my mentor said, great. So you got 3 options. You either learn to love this, or you build something else, or you go back to work. And I was like, okay. But I didn't know what else to do. So she said, okay, just keep journaling. Just go out there and so the one thing I'm seeing that you did that was very important and that I did thanks to my mentor and my job told me to do is get a mentor or a coach. And it's so imperative. Would you agree?
Absolutely. That the coach literally changed the way I look at life and inspired me to take those steps. And even, the week and the month before I actually turned in my resignation letter, I think my husband was thinking, she's not going to do it. I'm like, no, I've got it written out. It's here. It's on. And like, this is part of the next step because I had all these small steps that led me up to it. And it was the right thing to do. And it's been great.
How did it work out with your family? Was your husband, everyone behind it? Or were they a little scared with the move and all that?
I live with an entrepreneur. So my husband has been an entrepreneur since he was 14. And he has started, I don't even know how many businesses over the years. So I've supported him. And I've always joked, and I guess I think our friends knew that deep down I was probably telling the truth. He may have not believed it entirely, but I always said, well, you can start all these businesses for the first 20 years of our marriage, and I'm going to take a leap the second 20.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and I just said I was going to retire, but this is my idea of retirement is just not having to go into a high-rise building and work set hours. And so my idea of retirement is doing the leadership coaching and being able to help other people and pay it forward. So my friends have always said, well, we knew that's what you were going to do. You've been gone, for 20 years on the road and working, and it's your turn to get to do this. So it's kind of funny to see how it changes.
Well, you also got some lessons, I'm guessing, watching him do it. So I'm guessing it was really helpful having your husband there who's already an entrepreneur, seeing how he works, what he does, to give you a clue on where to get started and everything. And I also love the fact that you mentioned retirement, because I hate the idea of retirement sitting on the beach somewhere with a pina colada. I'll get bored in about 2.2 seconds. I'm like, I'm done. Let's get going now. Let's do something different.
Yes. Yeah. I get bored easily. And I think that's what he was worried about. He said, I just know you can't sit still. What are you going to do? And I'm like, oh, there's plenty that I can do. And it's worked out great.
That is great. So now we talked about one of the most important things to get going is you have an idea or you launch an idea, you get a mentor so that you can start to grow that idea. They can give you kind of steps to move forward because they've been there before. And that's the one thing I looked out for my mentor. She's been there. She has a track record. She knows how to make business work. So she'll be able to and the thing is, they don't give you the magic recipe. And I think that's something else we should maybe hit on, is that I think some people get a coach or a life coach and think, okay, they're going to give me all the how-tos and I won't have to do anything. And that's exactly not true.
Yes, there's so much truth to that. You wish there was just one book that could give you the answers, and there isn't. And even if you write the book, maybe you figure out what your answer is, but if you write that book, it could help somebody, but it's not going to be their answer. And, I'm working with just other coaches that have been doing this work for a long time. And I'm listening to them and their language and their approach to everything, and it works for them. Mm-hmm. But I've got to take that and turn it into what's going to work for me, and how is that going to help me connect with people. Yeah. So even though they have their language and their script and their processes down, and it works beautifully, and I hear it and I'm like, oh, it just flows. Sometimes you just have to say it 400,000 times for it to flow with you. And I think we all forget that, they've said this so many times over and over again. This is breathing air for them. And when I'm 18 months out of corporate, this is not quite breathing air, but it's going to get there one day. And I just know I'm getting one day closer every day I can show up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you got to think about the experience they have, maybe 20, 40 years in business. It is going to flow. Like there's things I do in accounting that I've done for over 25 years, or now that I've done this for 9 years, broadcasting, that I can do pretty much like clockwork. It's pretty easy. But I remember when I got started doing this broadcasting stuff, I would get so nervous beforehand. I'd have a script, I'd mess up, so it takes getting the hang of it. But, one thing that's essential, and you mentioned, not one coach or the one way they do it's going to work for you, but also realizing they can't do the work for you. And I think that some people, including myself, that I'll find the magic coach, they'll give you the 1, 2, 3 recipe, and then the work will be over. And one coach said to me, my mentor said, there is no over. Like if you're in business, there isn't a time where you get to stop, because when you're in the business, it's constantly growing it. And then say you have a group of clients, you will have to keep the momentum going. So you don't stop. It's like the hustle always continues.
I think it's fun. Like that's
and it should be
constant process that just makes it fun.
Yeah, it definitely does. What would be, okay, you've got the mentor set up, you started to get going, you have the idea that you found is viable, the marketplace needs it, wants it, desires it. What's the next step?
Reach out to your network.
Start building a network, right?
Yeah. My network has been extremely kind, and I'm very grateful. I know I keep saying that, but they've just been good to me. And I couldn't have done what I've done without leading with value first and helping other people first, so they know what kind of person I am, so they know if they do call on me, what they're going to receive. Yeah. And by sticking within my network and getting word of mouth referrals and things like that, I think it just opens up doors that sometimes we don't think would open up, or B, maybe we're a little too scared to ask. And sometimes we just need to put it out there and share with people, this is what I have to offer. And, if you're a good fit, that's great. If you know somebody, that's great. And let's just stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I found, and I was impatient. It was probably, I don't know if you experienced this, but I was a little impatient. I got done. I got a mentor. And I'm like, okay, so where are the clients? And, for one, client or relationships, you've got to meet people and you've got to grow that relationship. Even if, like, say, something you're, have or selling that is something they need, want, or desire, maybe it's not something they need, want, and desire right now. But you have to keep the relationships going. It's not like you don't meet someone, get married like yesterday or tomorrow. You have this ongoing relationship, you get to know them, and hey, maybe today is the day they're ready to buy. Maybe it's 10 years from now or 5 years from now. But I knew, and I always talk about this guy on my show. I worked in corporate, and there's this guy in a collection agency that called me monthly, like clockwork. He was amazing, but at the same time, like, Joe, I don't have anything. Stop calling me. But he was so sweet about it. He'd call every month. How are you doing? Can we help you? And, when we did have something, who did we think about? Joe, because he was so awesome. So it's that keeping that network and that real relationships going, so that when you do have something, your clients do need something, who do they think of for whatever you have to give in the marketplace? They think of you.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And staying at the top of the inbox and the email box that's out there. Being proactive and just sending text messages out to folks within your network, wishing them a happy birthday or just being able to stay connected, finding articles that you think they would find value in, and just proactively share it. Hey, I was just thinking about you, and, don't need anything or want to ask for anything, but just saw XYZ and that made me think of you. I hope everything's going well.
Yeah, yeah. Because, relationships like in real life, I know it's a little harder now and a little different with everything being virtual, but it's still relationships, still people. And you mentioned your network, which also I think it becomes tricky when you're doing a business, because I started a business networking group way back when I first got started. And everyone's idea was, they're all new business owners. And they all came as like, here, take my card. Everyone's passing out cards. I'm like, stop, put away the business cards. Because you get into this habit that you just got to push yourself or your business card or your thing at people to get them to buy. And it's not building relationships. So one of the first rules I made up in our group was no business cards. So let's just really get to know each other, see if we can help each other. We know someone that, in our network they can help. Because I think everyone, when you first get started as a business owner, everyone knows at least 100 people. And those 100 people know like at least 100 people. So let's just build a real network of real people. And that network is so important.
And you just need one to get started. You might be surprised that first client, you're like, wow, I had no idea. And you don't want to end up with, bukus of them in the beginning, because you're still trying to navigate, is this going to work? And how do I need to, alter this for it to work? And you learn so much on those first few clients that, it's good just to start with a few and get the waters tested and see what's most effective and what do they see as benefit. So then you can provide that to other people going forward.
Yeah. And you know what, Catherine, this reminds me many years back in my 20s, I wanted to work in a specific school with handicapped children. I thought it'd be a way I could give back. And so I knew nothing about that. I'm early 20s. I don't know anyone in the industry or, can you imagine going to a public school? I want to work with handicapped kids and give back and help out. They look at me like, you're crazy, go away. But I just let it be known to all my friends and my family and people I knew that, hey, I'd like to do this as a way to give back volunteer wise. And within a week, because I let it out to my network of family and friends, my one friend was a psychologist and she said, our school needs someone. I'll give them your name and say, I know you. And boom, within a week, I was volunteering. So that's that, letting people know in your network what you're all about, what you're doing. You never know who knows who that could pass on the information, and y'all help each other.
There's so much truth to that. Yeah. And it makes it fun, and you just appreciate it because you want to do that for other people too. And it's nice to be able to line up other introductions. I did this for a friend of mine who's starting out. She's an incredible fashion designer. And, in the middle of COVID, what are you going to do? So I joked with her. I said, I need some COVID Zoom clothes, because really all we need to do is dress from the waist up. And she was making these formal gowns because people were going to parties and it was just great. And she's like, no problem. Her market has now shifted. She's like, I will make you silk Zoom shirts all day long.
I love it.
Yeah.
Are you wearing one right now, by the way?
Not this one, but I've got a closet full. And then I should have put one on for you. But so she's so talented, and you can't help but want to advertise and like pay it forward and help other people. And so just introduce her to other people within my network. And I brought her over to where we live. She's about an hour away, and just introduced her to some new people. And she got to have a change of scenery, and she got to meet new people and take new measurements and design things for the world that we live in today. And so she's adaptable, and, she's willing to just go out there and do what it takes to survive in this after COVID world. And, now she has, the fashion shows, but we'll do the matching masks that go with it. I mean, you just got to embrace it. And she's done an incredible job doing that.
Well, that's great. And just what we're talking about today, let's say you're out of corporate, you may have lost your job, or maybe the job isn't available right now, but there's so many avenues for you to explore for opportunities to take your gifts and talents and bring it into the marketplace, into the world that people really need today. And, my friend said she draws. So I'm like, what do people need with that? We need art. Yes, we do. There's talents that every single person has that can enhance and make the world better. Even, if we're stuck in a virtual world, go out there, find a way to explore your talents. And I don't want us to leave, Catherine, without people finding out how they can find out more about you. How do they do that?
My website is catherinecantey.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, and that's under Catherine Cantey.
All right. I'm going to spell Cantey. That's Cantey.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I just had to thank you again, Catherine, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting to share your great gifts today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more Savvy episodes and Savvy Biz Tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.